Good evening. It's a great night in Texas, I would say, wouldn't you all? I mean, if you can't dig, eating barbecue, watching rodeos, and hanging out here on this ranch, you're not American. See me after this. Anybody who wants to sign up for the Army or the Army football team at West Point, I will also be taking those applications as well, right after this. Just so I'm straight on this. Well, to our Medal of Honor recipients, General and Mrs. Wallace, fellow general officers, there's almost as many general officers in the room as there are football players, I noticed. To Mr. and Ms. McGinnis, Mr. and Ms. Berman, Sergeant Major King and his Sergeant's Major's band in here, fellow soldiers, players, coaches, band members, color guards, directors, parents, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the All-American Bowl Welcome Barbecue. And what a great welcome it is. How about a round of applause for our host tonight? We're about several things this weekend. One of the big things we're about is teamwork. Another thing we're about is values. Another thing is about a never quit attitude, which all of you all would not be here, parents, coaches, teachers, bandsmen, players, directors, unless you demonstrated each of those. But about teamwork, about a year ago, I stood on the side of a windswept mountain in Afghanistan with a group of men in a valley where 16 SEALs had been shot down in a helicopter by our adversaries in the United States of America, all killed. This young group of 130 Americans have been holding on to the side of this mountain for about 8 months. And they had a tough time with the enemy in this valley. And I went up on a middle of the week to present Purple Hearts, which our soldiers received when they were wounded by the enemy in combat, to a group of men who had been wounded weeks earlier. And the first award I presented was to a Sergeant First Class, which is about Terrell Pryor's height, strapping, strong, young American, been in the Army about 12 years. And I said, when you got wounded, who took care of you? He said, sir, the man on my right. The man on his right was about 5'4", probably weighed about 140 pounds. He was a combat medic. And I said to him, what happened to you? He said, oh, sir, it really wasn't anything, don't worry about it. I said, well, what happened to you? He said, well, sir, I just got wounded, I got shot in the legs, but I had to take care of this guy in the platoon, and so he was really wounded. And I went on to present the rest of the Purple Hearts to the men there, and on Saturday, after that presentation on Tuesday, that unit got into a fight with the enemy. And the young company medic, he was left back at the forward operating base. And men in that unit had told me that they could go forward into the fight because that medic was always with them. And they said that medic was always out front. And when these big guys got wounded, each of them were 70 pounds, that medic would be the guy that drugged them out of the fight. And on that Saturday, when they got in that fight, he turned to his company first sergeant and said, First Sergeant, I got to go. They need me down there. And his first sergeant said, well, okay. And he put him in a Humvee, and that young man got in a Humvee and started heading for the fight. And en route to the fight, he was attacked by the enemy and killed. He won't ever see an All-American Bowl. He won't ever have a weekend like this in San Antonio. But he was an unbelievable member of a team. And he understood what it was like to be selfless and give his all, including his life, to the team. And the team could perform better because of that one man that they knew when they went into the fight that Corporal Doc Vaquero would be with them. And regardless of what the enemy might try to do to them, they had Doc Vaquero on their side. A well-trained, well-equipped, disciplined soldier in the United States Army, a medic, who would care for them more than he cared for himself. We're about teamwork this weekend. You've seen part of the team introduced. You've seen the players introduced. You've seen the coaches introduced. You've seen the band's elite introduced. You've seen the directors introduced. What I want is the American soldiers in this room to stand up, and I want you to recognize these team members of the All-American Bowl.